Welcome to our channel. Today we're strapping ourselves in for a cosmic ride through time because we're diving deep into the fascinating world of ancient history. You see, history isn't just dates in a textbook. It's a tapestry woven from the threads of triumphs, tragedies, and tales that have been passed down through generations. But what happens when those tales, whispered around campfires and etched into ancient stones, aren't quite right? That's where we come in, my friends. Today, we're putting some of the most persistent myths about our past under the cosmic microscope. Get ready to have your minds blown wide open, because we're about to separate fact from fiction and uncover the truth that lies buried beneath centuries of misconceptions. Get ready to have your mind blown. The Pyramids of Giza. Towering testaments to the ingenuity of the ancient Egyptians, right? Well, hold on to your hats, folks, because the popular narrative that these majestic structures were built by armies of toiling slaves is about to crumble faster than a mummy's tomb after a few millennia. Hollywood would have us believe that the pharaohs were cruel taskmasters, whipping countless slaves into building their monumental legacy. But the truth, my friends, is far more nuanced. Archaeological evidence paints a different picture. We're talking tombs of workers discovered near the pyramids, some even buried with honors. These weren't the signs of a disposable workforce. Hieroglyphics, those intricate symbols etched into the very stones themselves, tell tales of skilled artisans and craftsmen, the engineers and architects of their time, who took immense pride in their work, even forming worker villages around these grand projects. So these weren't slaves, folks, but skilled laborers who were paid, respected, and honored for their contributions. Picture a Viking warrior. What do you see? A hulking figure with braided beard, wielding a fearsome axe and sporting a horned helmet. Well, prepare to have your image of these fierce Scandinavian raiders shattered because the horned helmet. Yeah, that's about as historically accurate as a unicorn riding a T-Rex. The truth is, there's not a single shred of archaeological evidence to support the idea that Vikings ever wore horned helmets in battle. The image, it seems, emerged centuries later, popularized by artists and romanticized in operas like Wagner's Der Ring des Nibelungen. So why no horns? Well, imagine yourself in the heat of battle, swinging an axe with those cumbersome protrusions getting in the way. Not exactly practical, right? Vikings were known for their pragmatism. They needed helmets that protected their heads, not ones that would get tangled up in a fight. Ah, Nero, the infamous Roman emperor who, legend has it, heartlessly played his fiddle as flames devoured Rome. It's a story as dramatic as a Shakespearean tragedy, but is it true? Well, hold on to your togas, because this tale needs a fact check. First off, Nero wasn't playing a fiddle. The instrument hadn't even been invented yet. He was known to play the lyre, but even that detail is likely a fabrication. See, the fire that ravaged Rome in 64 AD was a political goldmine for Nero's opponents. They used the disaster to spread rumors, painting him as a callous tyrant who, instead of leading the relief effort, was busy composing epic poetry and indulging in artistic pursuits. While Nero certainly had his flaws, historians now believe he was actually away in Antium when the fire broke out. Upon his return, he took charge, organizing shelter, food, and even using his own wealth to aid the rebuilding efforts. Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, a name synonymous with beauty, power, and an untimely demise entwined with the story of Mark Antony. But here's a twist in the Nile. Cleopatra wasn't actually Egyptian. She was part of the Ptolemaic dynasty of Greek origin, who ruled Egypt for centuries following the conquests of Alexander the Great. Born in Alexandria, a melting pot of cultures, Cleopatra's heritage was more Greek than Egyptian. But she embraced Egyptian culture, learned the language, a rarity for rulers of that time, and even presented herself as the reincarnation of the goddess Isis. The Great Wall of China, a monumental feat of engineering, snaking its way across thousands of miles. It's so impressive that a popular myth claims it's the only human-made structure visible from space. But hold on. Before you book a flight on Virgin Galactic, let's debunk this myth with the power of science. While the Great Wall is undeniably vast, it's relatively narrow, averaging around 20 feet wide. From space, especially the distances at which astronauts orbit, it would be incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to discern this ribbon of stone and brick against the vast, textured backdrop of the Earth. Astronauts have confirmed this, stating that while they can see cities and other large-scale features, the Great Wall tends to blend in, especially without a telescope. So while the wall might not be visible from space with the naked eye, its historical and cultural significance remains truly out of this world. Napoleon Bonaparte, the diminutive general who conquered Europe, well, about that diminutive part. It turns out history has played a bit of a trick on us. The myth of Napoleon's short stature is so pervasive that it even has a name, the Napoleon Complex. But here's the thing, Napoleon wasn't actually that short. He was measured at 5'6", some accounts even say 5'7", which, in the early 19th century, was actually about average height for a Frenchman. So, where did this misconception come from? It might have been due to a combination of factors. British propaganda during the Napoleonic Wars often depicted him as a small, power-hungry tyrant. Another theory points to a possible confusion in measurements. The French paus used at the time was slightly larger than the British inch, leading to a slight discrepancy when his height was later converted. The Library of Alexandria, a repository of ancient knowledge, said to have housed countless scrolls and texts, its destruction in a single catastrophic fire, a devastating loss for human history. But hold on a minute, because it turns out the story of this legendary library's demise might be more complex than a multi-volume epic. While the Library of Alexandria did suffer damage from fire on several occasions, the idea that it was completely destroyed in a single event is a bit of an oversimplification. The library's decline was a gradual process, a slow burn, you might say, that took place over centuries. First, there was a fire in 48 BC during Julius Caesar's campaign in Egypt, which may have damaged a portion of the library's collection. Then, over the centuries, funding cuts, political instability, and changing intellectual priorities all contributed to its slow decline. So, while the Library of Alexandria's ultimate fate is a reminder of the fragility of knowledge, it wasn't a single inferno that brought it down, but a series of events that unfolded over time. Christopher Columbus, the intrepid explorer who sailed the ocean blue in 1492 and discovered America. Except, well, not exactly. The idea that Columbus discovered America is not only inaccurate, it's a harmful simplification that ignores the millions of people who already inhabited these lands. Newsflash, the Americas were already teeming with diverse cultures and civilizations long before Columbus arrived. From the Inuit in the Arctic to the Inca in South America, these societies had their own rich histories, languages, and ways of life. Columbus's arrival, far from being a peaceful encounter, set off a chain of events that led to the colonization, exploitation, and decimation of indigenous populations. It's time to retire the simplistic narrative of discovery and acknowledge the complex history of the Americas, recognizing the resilience and contributions of its original inhabitants. The Trojan War, a tale of love, betrayal, giant wooden horses, and epic battles that has captivated imaginations for millennia. But was it a real historical event, or just a captivating myth, passed down through the ages in Homer's epic poems, the Iliad and the Odyssey? Well, it turns out that there's more to this story than meets the eye. While we can't say for certain that every detail in Homer's poems is historically accurate, after all, poetic license and all, archaeological evidence suggests that there's a grain of truth at the heart of the legend. The city of Troy, once thought to be purely mythical, has been unearthed in modern-day Turkey, showing signs of siege warfare and destruction. So while the Trojan War might not have played out exactly as Homer described, it's likely that the poems were inspired by real historical events, embellished and mythologized over time. Stonehenge, that enigmatic circle of towering stones standing sentinel on the Salisbury Plain. For centuries, its purpose has remained shrouded in mystery, fueling speculation and capturing imaginations. One popular theory connects Stonehenge to the Druids, those ancient Celtic priests shrouded in mystery. But hold on to your ritualistic daggers, because this connection, while romantic, is likely unfounded. You see, Stonehenge predates the Druids by a couple of thousand years. It was constructed in stages, beginning around 3000 BC, while the earliest evidence we have of Druidic practices only dates back to about 400 BC. So, if the Druids didn't build Stonehenge, who did? Well, that's a question that continues to puzzle archaeologists. While we might not know for certain who erected these massive stones or what their purpose was, one thing is clear: Stonehenge stands as a testament to the ingenuity and enduring mysteries of our ancient past. Well, there you have it, folks. 10 ancient history myths officially busted. We've journeyed through time from the pyramids of Egypt to the Great Wall of China, separating fact from fiction and uncovering the fascinating truth behind these enduring tales. But remember, the exploration of history is an ongoing adventure. There are always new discoveries to be made, new perspectives to consider, and more myths waiting to be debunked. So keep that cosmic curiosity burning bright, never stop questioning, and remember, the universe of history is vast, endlessly fascinating, and there's always something new to learn. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more fascinating history content. See you next time!